Hey guys, welcome back to the Profound Podcast. My name is Lexi.
And my name is Jake. And today we are talking about all things engagement, the engagement season, what it's about, how to use it in a correct, godly way. And we are just going to jump right in. So, a little update on where we are. We are 32 days away from getting married.
30 something.
I think it's 32.
32.
That's crazy. We're so close.
Mm-hmm.
This week we had 3 weddings. We talked a little bit about that in the last episode, and that was this week. So I wanted to say congrats to our 3 couple friends that got married, Tanner and Donovan, Micah and Caprice, and Adrian and Jordan. Congrats, guys. I hope you guys are having a great first month of marriage on your honeymoons and all that stuff. And we can't wait to have you guys on the podcast. But we're not there yet.
Nope.
We're still engaged. So
we're on month 8 of 9, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It was 9 months.
Yep. 8 of 9.
So we're close.
We are close. So we figured we would talk a little bit about engagement as a season, what it is, why we do it. And really the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe we should first just talk about how engagement has been for us.
Yeah.
Some people hate being engaged. Some people like it because they like the planning. We should maybe first talk about what we have thought about being engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you thought about it, Jake?
I don't like it.
Oh, great. Great. First I heard about it.
No, it's been fun. It's really fun engagement is a great season. The fact that I said I don't like it, that's not true. I want to be married. I want to marry you. So I don't like it because of that. But it has been a really cool season. We have purposefully been very when we were dating, had a lot of boundaries, obviously physical, but emotional too. And engagement has been a season of letting those down and preparing to join our lives fully together. And that's been super cool. And it's just been so fun to plan not only for a wedding, obviously, but also for our marriage, more importantly for our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've really liked about engagement. The thing I don't like about engagement is the waiting.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're getting married. We know you're going to move in. We know we're going to be married. I just want to do the dang thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in retrospect, from my opinion, if we could do it again, we should have done it shorter.
Yeah, it's so funny. It depends on who you talk to. It's so funny whenever I talk to even a stranger, and I tell them that I'm engaged, their first question is oh, how long did you date? And that whenever somebody asks how long did you date, that question is you're just pretty much expecting to be judged by that person. They're either gonna be like, oh my gosh, you dated for a year, you psycho, you're getting married, you don't even know the person. Or they're like, you dated for a year? That's a long time. Everybody always has a reaction to that question. Which is weird, but I don't know. I think 9 months, honestly, I think for our specific circumstances and all the craziness that just being engaged has just been a lot. We've just been through a lot during our engagement season. And so I think for us, 9 months was a really appropriate time. I think any shorter would have maybe, I don't know. It is long. We could have planned a wedding in 3 months easily. Our wedding was practically planned within 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But just as far as personal things and moving, new jobs, school, job, both of us having multiple different job situations and personal things we're walking through, I don't know, I feel like we've needed the time. And I think that, I don't know, God was intentional with August 5th being the day that we get married and just having 9 months. But yeah, I know it's been a wait for sure. I wouldn't say that I've like hated it.
No, I mean, I was being dramatic.
I know.
I think that I totally agree. Like, we've been through a lot. We are completely uprooting our lives to start a new life, and it's super exciting. And I think that God has been really faithful and just amazing with that like portion of it, and the 9-month period he's used that. Like, I think that he has used it in the 9 months to really get us ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my advice, I guess, would be for people to do it as short as you think you can.
Mm-hmm.
Would you disagree with
Yeah,
that?
I would disagree with that.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because if we would have done it as short as we could, there are so many things that so many of the things we navigated engaged that were better during engagement, I think, because they were better to walk through before we were married.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we needed that time, and I know it's more waiting, but like, God gives us patience and we can wait. And like, I don't know. I think that like when we first got engaged, we both prayed a dangerous prayer for God to just like prune the heck out of our lives, like mega, in ways that like we had no idea were coming. And that looked like a lot of things. That was really, really painful things that happened, not even between us, just like in our personal lives. Out of like the blue, things came up in these last 9 months. Really, really hard things, unexpected, sad things to grieve.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We can't say that that's going to happen to everybody. Like, God faithfully answered that prayer for us when we were like, okay, we're engaged. Like, God, please prune and prepare and remove anything that is not from you and is not going to benefit and glorify you in our marriage. He was like, say less, watch me work, like it was just like really intense for us in that. And I'm not saying it's going to be like that for everybody, but I think that rushing through engagement without intentionality and without actually, yielding to the Holy Spirit of what he's trying to do is going to just bring problems that you're going to deal with in marriage.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
And so it's like, and that's fine. I mean, can guarantee there will be things that come up when we're married, but I will say that like, it's been a nice glimpse of into marriage by like, I don't know, just seeing God prune our lives, as fiancés and not spouses, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
And that's not something to predict. So I don't know. It's like hard to be like, as short as possible for everybody. Like, that is the best, because we could have gone a lot shorter if we wanted to. But now on like, in hindsight, I'm glad it was 9 months because like, especially in the start of our engagement, like it was rough, like not between us, but for me personally, like a lot came up that was like tough. And I think that if I was dealing with all of that and trying to get ready for a wedding in like 2 months, it was just going to be utter chaos.
True.
And so I don't know. I think that it's hard to give like, generalized advice about that. I mean, I think if you're dating in a godly way, engaged in a godly way, you don't want to be like 2-year engagement. Year is even like a really long time. But I don't know. Just all I have to say is God was sovereign when we've been engaged for 9 months, but for a lot of people, that's way too long.
Yeah, I agree. And that kind of brings us to really what I wanted to talk about today was the meaning of engagement. Because engagement, like God used the last 9 months, I believe, to really prepare us for marriage. And like there's nothing that's going to prepare you. We're going to get into marriage and be like, holy crap, we have no idea what we're doing. But there was a lot of stuff that like he used this season to, like you said, prune out of our lives. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today was, what is engagement for? And I think if I could, give it a slogan, like I'm a pastor, Like engagement is for planning a marriage, not planning a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody talks about like how long does it take you to plan a wedding? How's wedding planning going? You know,
Facts.
all this day. But here's the thing, guys, like weddings, and I have just seen this so much over the last week, being in 3 weddings in a week.
Yeah. 7 days, 3 weddings.
Like the wedding is amazing. And I was with all these people, obviously all of our couple friends that just got married this week we're super close with.
Yeah.
And so we've been in this season with them. We've seen them the whole time. Like, but the end of the week, I was like, holy crap. Like they spent, from 3 months to a year being engaged, different for every couple.
Uh-huh.
The wedding is 1 day.
It's 1 day.
And it was like, for all of them, it was like start, gone, done.
Yeah. And they were all beautiful, like all amazing. All 3 of them, all 3 couples will cherish that day forever. But like, I don't know. We like at all the weddings, we left and we're like, whoa, that was it. Like it's over.
Yeah, it's over. And
It's done.
Now they have the rest of their lives. And what I wanted to talk about today is like the heart behind engagement. Is your heart planning the perfect wedding, planning the perfect day, getting the perfect dress, the perfect venue, the perfect food, the perfect cake? Or is it preparing for a lifelong commitment with somebody?
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Because the wedding is 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
You like, what's more important? Getting the venue right, the beautiful venue, like, or focusing on your marriage, like you're building a life together, and that's what this season is for.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that is a little bit harsh coming from a guy. Because you don't understand the little girl's dream that we all have as females.
Mm-hmm.
It is like this thing that I don't even know, like at what age I started dreaming about being a bride, but it was young.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this thing. I think it's a big struggle for women to just like fantasize this wedding and just it being a dream. And it's just like everything you could have ever imagined. And so for, all the girls, I get it. Like it's hard to care about the marriage when you're like, well, I have to figure out my colors and my shoes and my earrings. And I'm doing that too. Like, don't hear us not say we're not planning our wedding.
Yeah.
Like our wedding is, I literally spent like 3 weeks picking out my perfume. Like you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, but we also have intentionally like made an effort to, plan for our marriage equally as we're planning or more than we're planning for the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do I need it closer?
You need
okay,
to be a little
sorry.
bit closer. That's okay.
But yeah, I think that if you feel that, or if your engagement has only been wedding planning, and this is kind of like, oh, shoot, like that's okay, like, and we're not perfect in that either. But I mean, it's not all about the wedding, and it just flies. I mean, no matter what you do, your wedding day is gonna fly and be a blur, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be like memorable in some ways, in other ways, not at all. And so I don't know. Well, I guess what have we done to plan for our marriage that we think we predict will benefit, but we don't really know because we're not married yet. But
yeah.
What do you think?
That's a good question. I think the main 3 things that come to mind that we have done that I think we've done really well and have been hard and a lot of work, but have tremendously helped us in this season are prayer, counseling, and I wish I had like a name for this, but just dealing with baggage.
Facts.
Like,
oof.
Before we
I didn't know you didn't tell me those, so I'm like hearing this for the first time. Like, Oof.
Yeah, I think so. Like before we got married, like she said, um, we prayed a dangerous prayer. Like I remember walking about 5 months before we got engaged. Like we knew we were gonna get engaged, um, and I remember like walking on a prayer walk, and I was like, God, like whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Like I want to be ready for marriage.
He's like, what did you say?
Yeah, he's
Say it
like,
again.
and I feel like my heart kind of leapt because he was like, whatever it takes.
They're like, yes.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. And oh boy, did he answer that prayer.
Yeah.
And it's been like just things coming up like for both of us
Yeah.
of things that he brought up, like things from my childhood and things that we haven't dealt with or relationships in our lives that are toxic and we don't want to bring that into marriage. Like it's been hard. That
Yeah.
was a hard prayer to pray.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so glad that
Yeah.
we prayed that prayer and
Yeah.
that he answered it. And it's been painful.
Yeah.
Like sometimes answered prayers are painful.
And sometimes you're even surprised,
Yeah.
and like you don't, from my side of things, like when really unexpected things were coming up right when we got engaged, I was like, what is going on? Like, I feel like my world is upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me months to be like, God was pruning. And I, like, in the moment, it just felt so painful and so nasty and just horrible. Like, I mean, just painful stuff. And then, once my heart like healed a little bit and it gave me the wisdom to be like, whoa, that was pruning. And I don't want that thing in my marriage. And like, I wasn't even aware. Like, it was like, I don't know, just, I didn't realize what was going on until after. And I know that, we are very blessed and thankful. We have really fantastic, amazing families who, it's been a walk in the park to plan a wedding with. And I know that that's not the case for everybody. And so I know that, maybe your hardship is like coordinating with difficult families to plan a wedding, which is really hard. And we're sorry if that's the situation that you are in or have been in. But like, it was things that were not about our like, I don't know. I've just heard that a lot of like, it's so hard to plan a wedding and like coordinate with family.
Yeah, like my mom wants this people here, or your mom wants this, or like, oh,
So that's not the struggle we're talking about.
No,
the things we're talking about are like out of left field, like things I never would have predicted would happen. And so, but now I'm just like super thankful for where we're at, and we do have less baggage. Like, both of us have dealt with things from childhood, from just like, you really get a chance to, like, I don't know, living things. Like, we've been able to kind of figure out some things like that, which like people talk about that and like that, I don't know. I feel like the like, oh, well, how does he like fold his clothes? It's like, that doesn't matter, I don't know. People kind of are like, well, how is this living thing? I think that's important to talk about, but it's like not a huge deal. We're talking about like big, like
big baggage that you have, like wounds that you have pushed down, like it will,
or weren't aware of,
like they will come up.
Yeah,
they will, and
we'll even continue to discover them into marriage, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's not like it's gonna be easy. Or that, we get married and everything is just like perfect. But I think that the prayer that we prayed and continued to pray, to get us ready was huge.
Yeah.
And that led to dealing with baggage and, having to really get through things. And it was hard, and it like, was hard on the other person. But that helped us. Like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine where we would be if we didn't do that. And then the other thing is counseling, which is a huge thing for us. Obviously we're doing counseling with a great couple that we love so much. And just hearing like we haven't been doing it super like structured, I would say. I mean, we're reading a book together, but like we just meet up and we just hang out and to each their own. If you like want to go through a program or something, like do that. That's really cool. But we just wanted to like hear what they've been through. They've been married for I think like 20, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And just to hear some wisdom, some things that like are gonna happen that if we didn't go through that, probably wouldn't know would happen and would be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the biggest one was that like the lovey-dovey feeling of love, the like in love feeling that we feel right now is gonna wear off.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's gonna be a time.
I don't want it to.
I know I don't want it to either, but it will. Everybody says that it does.
Dang it.
And like on one vein that sucks. But in the other vein, like that's where a true like rock solid marriage comes in of like, love not being a feeling anymore, but an action and a choice, a choice to love somebody, and put your desires away and choose them over you. Like that's what marriage is. It's not about what can this person add to my life. That's a bonus. Like me as a future husband, I want to like die to myself, less of me, put myself away and find my joy in serving you. And then you're going to do the same thing. And so then it works.
Yeah.
But if you go into it feeling like, oh, we're just so in love.
And they just were so like adamant about like, because we read that in our book and we're like, okay, everybody says that, like, but not us.
Yeah, it won't happen to us.
Like, that's not going to be us. Like, we're going to be like 80 and like still in the honeymoon phase. And they're like, no, it will happen. Like, it literally will. And it's only a matter of time. We're like, oh, dang it. So I feel like just having like the realistic like lens from them to be like, okay, that's very true. Like that hit us year 3. Like that's exactly when we dealt with that,
And yeah, realizing another thing that I just thought about was like the fact that you change.
Yeah.
And the person that you are right now is not going to be the person that you are 1 year, 10 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And I'm going to change too. And there's going to be a time when we wake up, like I wake up and I'm like, I don't even recognize you. And learning to love the stranger that you ended up marrying, because everybody changes. And I think that that's where a lot of like marriages fail.
Yeah.
Is this person changed?
They changed.
Or we fell out of love.
Well, yeah, because you're two changing people who get older and grow and have new experiences. Yeah. Tim Keller was like, my wife's been married to 5 men and they've all been me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird to think about.
Yeah. So I think that that's where, a lot of marriages fail is like, one, love is a feeling. If you think love is a feeling, you will fall out of love. And then you're going to be like, oh, I need to find somebody else. Love is not a feeling. It's an action. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And then 2, thinking like this person will never change. Because they will and you will. Your time will change. Your interests will change. Your personality will change. But you're making a commitment to each other to love and serve each other for the rest of your life, no matter how you change.
Yep.
And so that's
intense.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, yo.
So that's what engagement is about, is like preparing for that, preparing for marriage, which is something that's like, it's going to be so different than dating or engagement.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I think that also it's been really helpful too, because with the couple who are doing premarital counseling with, I'm super similar to the wife, and Jake is super similar to the husband.
It's scary.
It's like spooky similar, like just even in like family upbringing things and
just
so
like
much
our
to relate on.
interests and our personality styles.
Yeah.
And like it's wild. So it's cool.
Super crazy, that was like pretty, I mean, I guess for you that you guys connected over similarities and then kind of the gals got introduced as well. But I would recommend that. Like if there's any way, if there's like an older couple who you just like kind of see yourself in, like that's been so helpful, because one thing that she said that really like kind of stuck with me was how much having kids changed her as a person. And we're both, me and her are very overly empathetic people. And like she just talked about how like having kids just like, and that happens for everybody, but she's like, it changed my whole personality. It changed who I am. It changed how I act, how I think, how I, just my actions like on a daily basis. Like it changed me so much that it really was hard in marriage, because when I became a mom, I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
And so that I didn't even think about that at all, before we met with them. So that was really helpful too. But yeah, just like, it's not like you're going to be married to a stranger at some point.
Yep.
And that's a really scary thing to think about to me, just because like, I don't know, I'm scared of like, well, what am I going to become?
Yeah.
And I would pray that it's something awesome, but it's just a scary thought to be like, in 10 years, we're going to be two different people. So yeah, I think that's been really big for us.
Yeah. So like, that doesn't say that we are like, know what we're going to do or what that's going to be like, but just the fact that we can be prepared or at least know it's coming.
Aware.
And when we wake up one day and that's the case, we can be like, okay, this is normal. Like, we can handle this. Like we can tolerate this. We can figure it out. Like we are not the only ones. And I think that is extremely valuable in engagement. Like if you take this season just to plan a wedding, you're going to be shocked by how hard marriage is, because it's not a day, it's the rest of your life. And so you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for your rest of your life, not just for the day. And I know, like, don't get us wrong, we've spent a lot of time, you more than me, but like we've spent a lot of time preparing for that day. And it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be amazing. We're going to cherish those memories for the rest of our lives. But like I said, it's just a day, And so at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter if something goes wrong or something's not exactly the way you want it, because that's not what you're preparing for. That's not what engagement is about.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking about just like even scripture to back that up. And just as far as like counseling goes and talking to people goes, Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. And I don't know, I think that has just been so true. Like, if we would have sat down and read this book by ourselves, we would have been like, oh, this is so fun. And I can't wait to see who you're going to be in 10 years. And they're like, no, it's actually so hard. And we're like, oh, cool. Like, it's been so humbling. So humbling. Like, sometimes we leave and we're like, what are we getting ourselves into? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's been cool. Just, I don't know, to have that perspective. And so, yeah, I mean, you can't overplan. Like, who knows what's going to happen? There's going to be, I'm sure in our life, so many unexpected things that come up in our marriage, in our life, and all kinds of stuff. And so you can't, you can't see those coming.
Right.
But as far as like taking time during engagement to think through the ins and outs of like, and just becoming more aware of the hardships of marriage, that it's not just this like fun little walk in the park, get a new roommate kind of situation. It can be that if you
That's
want.
not what it should be.
Yeah, if you want to like forsake like deep intimacy, like that can be the case. If you want it to be easy, you can coexist with somebody in the same house.
But I think that if you never have a fight or never have disagreements or never have to go through something hard, I think that probably the case is that one person is not being honest with the other person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like the fruit. I think I kind of talked about this in the last one a little bit, but like there's more fruit to be had of marriage than coexisting, and like if you're doing it right, it should be hard. So yeah.
So yeah, just that getting that wisdom has been great.
Oh, I know what else we should talk about. Also on engagement, I've heard this a lot. I honestly didn't even hear this until we got engaged, but I want to talk about what does it mean to get cold feet in engagement? Because I've been asked that by multiple people. It's like this, I don't know, like when you get engaged, you like get cold feet about what is going on, and I feel like we should maybe talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And just talk about if we've been through that, if we've felt cold feet. I guess by cold feet, I mean like you have a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, what are we doing? Are we ready? Like, this was not the right thing. Is this the right person? Like, did we make the right choice? Like, oh my gosh, kind of like a freak out moment.
Yeah.
Like it's real. Like there's a literal ring on my finger. I'm like, oh no, like what did I do? You know? So I think for me, I definitely have.
Really?
Yeah. And it hasn't been until recently. I don't know. I think it's just the fact that I know that a transition like this is going to be really difficult. And I'm literally moving out of the house that my parents brought me home to from the hospital. Like I've lived in the same childhood house since I was born. So now at 21, I'm moving out like for good. And so that's weird. I don't know. I think that recently it's just been kind of like the like original engagement butterflies have worn off a little bit, and it's just felt like not real, but just like, whoa, like hard to comprehend. And I feel like that's made me have a little bit of like cold feet. You know what I mean? Have you felt that?
I don't know if I've ever felt like, doubt.
Yeah, I haven't felt doubt necessarily, but just like the feeling of like, I mean, when your feet are cold, you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is scary. Like this is I've felt like this is scary sometimes,
Yeah, I think the closest thing that I've, experienced is just like the thought of, holy crap, like, am I ready for this? Like, do I know enough? Am I going to be a good enough husband? Am I going to be a good enough leader?
That's cold feet for sure.
Yeah. And I think, not like ever feeling like, oh my gosh, like, is this the right choice? Like, that's never crossed my mind. But the thought of like, just me, am I ready? Like, can I do this? Am I going to be good enough? And that is a, reoccurring theme in my life of feeling not good enough. And so like I have had those thoughts of like, what if I don't lead you well enough? Or, I don't know. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just hard to process. I think the biggest reason that I've had cold feet is because I know one of the biggest things besides having children to ever happen to me is happening in a month. But it's not in front of my face, so I can't like fully accept it.
Yeah.
And fully like accept that it's actually happening. But I know it's happening, but there's just not this connect.
Right.
It just hasn't. And talking to friends, like they're like, that's okay, like that's normal. But that's just like hard for me. I just want to be like, I just want it to feel real. And so then I'll like have like all of a sudden it'll just like hit me like out of the blue, and I'll be like, we're getting married, like literal married. Like this is going to be my husband. Like he's going to father my children. Like sometimes I have thoughts like that and I'm like, holy crap. Like it's just a big deal. So it's like, I just have like kind of shock moments, I think. So yeah, I think that a, healthy amount of feeling that is good. if you're like get engaged and you're like, what did I do? That was the wrong decision. Then that's maybe another conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that being a little bit overwhelmed by the level of commitment and change and just like how big of a deal it is, I think that that's completely normal.
Yeah, and I think also there's a little bit of like, I think grieving that's okay.
Oh, for sure.
Like I have even, even on a small, like kind of inconsequential level, sometimes I'll come home from work and I just want to like, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna, make some food and, go upstairs and play Fortnite with the boys. Like it's probably not gonna happen when we get married because
You can play Fortnite when we're married.
okay, but here's the thing. So I've got a lot of friends that play Fortnite. There's a squad of maybe 4 or 5 of us. We're all engaged. Actually, one of them's married now. So,
24 hours of marriage.
whoop whoop. Shout out Adrian. But it's a lot easier to get 4 dudes that are engaged to be able to play Fortnite at the same time. It's gonna be a lot harder when we're all married.
True.
So, but I'm just saying, like, I can't come home. I won't be able to come home and like, throw on a YouTube video or throw on this or like do whatever I want because like it's not about, I am going to tend to you.
Yeah.
You are my number one priority anymore. It's not me. So I think in this season I've become really aware of my selfishness and like, holy crap, like I'm not going to be able to just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Living alone, being like, a single dude, like, yeah, living alone, I can do whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. I can watch whatever I want, like, with my time. And then in a month, I'm going to come home and like, I can't just like not talk about my day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, we're going to talk about it. Like,
no, sit down.
yeah. And the other thing is like, that I've seen is like when we're long distance, we don't live together. So there's a time when we're like, okay, one of us is like done talking, like we're on the phone, and one of us is mad or just tired or whatever. We can be like, I'm hanging up. We're done talking.
That sounds horrible the way you just said
Sorry,
that.
but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah, like when we've just had enough and we're just like, okay, no, nothing else to talk about, or we're just like, I'm kind of annoyed with you. I kind of want to be alone right now.
yeah. So you can hang up and you're done, but like in marriage, like we're still here, so that's gonna be weird. You know what I mean? So it's just like things like that have been like, holy crap, this is gonna change, and like kind of grieving this season of life.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's normal, and okay to feel,
Yeah.
which is our biggest takeaway. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Engagement is a time.
It's a time. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been a really, really good ride. We will probably have
maybe one more. Yeah.
episode before we get engaged or before we get married. Because I mean, our schedule is every other week if you don't know yet. We try to do it every other weekend. And yeah, we've got basically like 4 weeks, right? Like basically a month.
Yeah.
So we're going to do one more, and then 2 weeks after that will be our wedding week.
So
then we'll probably take
I will not be recording a podcast on my wedding week.
Right. Yeah. We're going to go on honeymoon. Like, it's going to be great. So
I'll be out.
So yeah, on our, I guess, probably second to last episode before we get married.
And then we'll have all the answers.
Then we will know everything. So yeah, we just wanted to talk a little bit about engagement, what the season is for.
It's been weird. It's been good. It's been hard. It's been sad. It's been exciting.
It's a lot of things.
It's been a lot.
I
feel tired.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like.
That's one thing I'm looking forward to is not having to plan anymore.
Yeah.
Once.
Just like get in a routine.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah. Not have to plan this huge event anymore.
Which is going to be hype though, I will say.
Our wedding's going to be so sick. It's going to be so sick. But yeah, that's our main point. That's our main takeaway is if you're engaged, if you're thinking about getting engaged, make the most out of this season by not just focusing on the wedding, focus on the marriage. Ask yourself, what can I do to prepare myself for this?
Yeah.
Prepare myself spiritually, physically, mentally,
Facts.
you know, prepare. That also includes preparing things like where you're going to live, what you're going to do, how you're going to get financially,
things.
you know, this is a season of preparation. That's what engagement is for. And it's not for a day. So feel the feelings. It's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. And enjoy it, because in a month, we will never be engaged again.
Yeah. That's crazy. I just like can't wrap my mind around it at all, which is okay. I just can't.
I'm going to ask you in our first episode back.
I'm going to be like, I still go. Still feel the same.
I'm like, do you feel like we're married yet? I feel like you're going to say yes, but maybe not.
Maybe not. We'll see. I'll be living here.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, to the 3 couples that got married this week, congrats. We can't wait to have you guys on the podcast, see how it's been going, see what you've learned in your week of wisdom, 24 hours of wisdom, however long you've been married. And yeah, we love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.